Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Reconstruction options. Timer started.
Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Building. On hold. Cancel.
Ready and waiting.
Our base is under attack.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Building.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Waiting orders. Agreed. Yes, sir. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Vehicle acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Awaiting order. Affirmative. 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 Affirmative.
Training. Unit ready.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Reinforcements
Yes,
have
sir.
arrived.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative.
Unit
Awaiting
ready.
acknowledged. Medic reporting. Moving out. Moving out.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building.
Reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit
Affirmative.
ready.
Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Our base is under attack.
Reporting.
Preparing.
Affirmative.
Unit ready. Battle control terminated.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Agreed. Reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Yes, sir? Affirmative. Very well. Very well. Agreed.
New construction options. Timer started.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Structure
Affirmative.
solid.
At
Our
once.
base is under attack.
Waiting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Very well. Agreed.
Building.
Agreed. At once. Very well. At once. Affirmative. Agreed. Very well.
Training. Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Building.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Moving out.
Building.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes,
Unit
sir.
ready.
Reporting. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Repairing.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit repaired. Unit lost.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Repaired.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit repaired.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Reporting. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. Yes,
Unit
sir.
ready.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Repaired.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Building.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Agreed.
Unit repaired.
Yes, sir.
Base
Acknowledged.
is under attack.
Reporting.
Unit ready.
Ready and waiting at once. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. 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 Awaiting orders. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building. Training. Repaired.
Reporting. Vehicle
Unit
reporting.
repaired.
Acknowledged. Reporting.
Insufficient
Affirmative.
funds.
Yes, sir.
Unit
Waiting
ready.
orders. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Awaiting orders.
Unit ready.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Moving out.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Waiting orders. Acknowledged.
Building. Unit lost. Repaired. Insufficient funds.
Vehicle reporting. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
On hold. Cancel. Repaired.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit repaired.
Acknowledged. Waiting orders. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Building.
Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Ready and
Medic
waiting.
reporting.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Our base is under attack. 20 minutes remaining.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Insufficient funds.
Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Building.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Acknowledged.
Medic reporting. Moving out.
Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. 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 Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged.
Unit
Acknowledged.
ready.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Reporting. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir.
Reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Repaired. Insufficient funds. Unit prepared.
Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative.
Training. On hold. Training. Unable to comply.
Acknowledged.
Building in progress.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Acknowledged.
Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Reporting.
Yes, sir. Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Our base is under attack. Unit lost.
Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative.
Insufficient funds.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Acknowledged.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
10
Acknowledged.
minutes remaining.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Awaiting order. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Awaiting order. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative.
Our base is under attack.
Acknowledged. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir.
Insufficient funds.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Acknowledged. 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 Vehicle reporting. Reporting. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Reporting. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Warning.
Affirmative.
5 minutes remaining.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Awaiting affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Warning. 4 minutes remaining.
Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Insufficient
Affirmative.
funds.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Our base is under attack.
Affirmative.
Warning.
Vehicle
3
report
minutes
acknowledged.
remaining.
Vehicle acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Warning.
Affirmative.
2 minutes remaining.
Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Vehicle report acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Yes, sir.
Warning.
Yes, sir.
1 minute
Affirmative.
remaining.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Affirmative. 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 Acknowledged. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Awaiting orders. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Awaiting orders.
Reinforcements have
Affirmative.
arrived.
Affirmative. Affirmative. Acknowledged.
Reinforcements have
Affirmative.
arrived.
Affirmative. Acknowledged. Acknowledged. Acknowledged.
Mission accomplished.